Good day everyone, 7.2 is upon us, and with it, we will finally get what we have all been waiting for. More Wooklamart, woo! Break out the champagne, boys, we high rolling tonight! But in all seriousness, 7.2 will bring with it the new exploration zone, my beloved Eureka equivalent, and Bozja too, I guess. While Endwalker focused on pushing the game in the single-player direction with the Island Sanctuary content, which I enjoyed, but I mean, come on, it's not really a good equivalent to previous content. I know, Endwalker's development had to deal with
the virus
and Final Fantasy XVI. That totally didn't affect the development of Final Fantasy XIV, we swear, you guys. But now with the success of Dawntrail, we finally, after almost a year of waiting, we get the real content of the game. The new exploration zone, the Occult Crescent. As of now, I have no idea what this is past the name and the fact that it's a combat-focused instance similar to Eureka and Bozja. I purposefully avoided knowing more about this as to save it for a surprise. Live letters days are a nightmare for me, as I have to mute everyone I know who is going to be talking about it, even some words on social media. A lot of words. Thankfully, a dear friend shared with me the name of the new content for the sake of this video. Speaking of which, I should probably get into it. It is not surprising to hear that I love exploration zones. Eureka is my favorite content in the entire game, and I joined Final Fantasy XIV when Bozja was introduced, which I jumped straight into after marathoning the MSQ like an insane person, as I was enjoying it a lot. No joke, I streamed the game practically every day for a good couple of months as I caught up. But back to the Occult Crescent. I wanted to make this video to put together some thoughts about what I wish to see introduced in this content. Trust me when I say that it's absolutely going to sound insane, and many people will just say no to many of these suggestions. To those people I say, don't worry, I'm pretty sure the zone will be dumbed down just like Bozja was, so you have nothing to worry about the ramblings of a madman. Don't worry, Papa Yoshi-p has you, don't worry, here you go. I just wanted to put to paper my thoughts and things I wish I could see in the game. Let a man dream, for Heidel's sake. With that being said, let's get right into it. With some very small simple things and build up to the big thing I wish to see. Let's start easy. With something controversial. No mounts until max level for the zone. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Yeah, I know you stopped the video and left. Don't worry, I understand. Now lower your guns for a second and let me explain myself. I'm aware Eureka had this. That people were annoyed. They had to run to get to the next notorious monster, and from place to place. I understand that some people find slow travel unfun, and that they just want to mount and get to their next location as fast as possible. And to that I say, I don't care. I wasn't there. I personally like the idea of running around, and when I see someone in their mount, you get this feeling of, yeah, that will be me one day. Which motivates you to fight harder for the reward or faster travel. It is a reward for progress, and I find those personally really fun.
I wouldn't have it any other way, because it feels good to earn thing in video game. Crazy concept, I know.
I got to experience that feeling while playing WoW Classic after the dumpster fire the Endwalker's relics were. Besides, I understand that back in the day, the biggest issue was getting the notorious monsters fast and spending all your TP sprinting. But nowadays that isn't an issue. Just slow down a second, no need to rush. Now, if only they brought back those sleeping dragons. Environmental hazards. This may be a big ask, but I feel like the overworld is too safe, too child-proof, too peaceful and shaped around making sure you are okay. Even Sadner had this chance of an airstrike to hit nearby, but it did nothing. Eureka had these tornadoes around that I used to think would do some damage and knock me back into an enemy if I didn't pay attention. But that wasn't the case. You could even add a poison area where you have to maneuver fighting the mobs and fight them in the safe spots with some sort of thought behind it. Oh hey, one of my favorite dungeons, what are you doing here? I don't know, something beyond flat nothing with nothing to worry about would be appreciated at least once in a while. At the very least, let's step away from those flat rectangle zones where nothing is happening. I even miss the sleeping dragons that Hydatos decided to leave in the trash bin where I belong. Environmental interactivity may be very small, but it makes traversing and combat more interesting, which also applies to exploring with a given reason to do so, with Return of Lucky Rabbits. I like minigames. I liked spending time in Eureka with a group of folks getting our rabbits and spreading to the winds to try and locate the spot for my treasure chest. It's kind of the same feeling I get when doing treasure maps. These adorable little creatures could guide you to either a generous quick spot or drag your low-level bot through a hellscape of monsters you need to stealth around or get some help for. And that was, at least for me, more interesting than just finishing a fate and wait for the next fate and the next and the next and the next and the next. It gives me something to do. We may not get the Bunnies again, but I like for a fate in the new zone to have something similar to it. The treasures would give us materia, special unique quest items, upgrade materials, mounts, minions, and the main reason people do them nowadays, Gil. I honestly believe they should bring this minigame back, and a chance to get unique items this way. Not through a boring store you can just farm clusters for. Call me crazy, but I like the game of chance. I like me some Gambabaloos. I like me some
800 starlight waiting.
There's
Okay.
your 5-star.
50-50.
Oh,
Yes!
Hey!
Hell yeah!
Look at
buddy.
them thighs!
The
Look at them
thighs have
thighs!
arrived!
I am so happy, you have no idea.
Why'd you get one duplicate in this poll?
Oh, that would be funny. And no, I'm gonna say it, no. Lock boxes are not the same. One is a search minigame, the other is just something you get after doing nothing. Which reminds me of the other thing I want in the new zone. Unique drops.
Nice.
Now, what do I mean by unique drops? I mean your scorpion harness, your strider boots, your Cassie earring, and yes, even your optical hat. Honestly, my favorite one, since you had to do a whole collection quest to craft the item you to get the drop for an encounter. Eureka sadly did away with these by the time we got to hiatus. Bozja just completely gave up on them, opting instead to just have the store to grind the currency for secured unique loot. I am begging the developers to please bring back unique glamour and other items to have a random chance to drop from some unique notorious monsters in the Occult Crescent. I was going back to Pagos last year just to try and get my strider boots, which by the way have a speed bonus inside cities, also something I wish we could get this time around. Give items unique traits, like I'll even take them if they only work inside the instance, even though I know for a fact we're just gonna get a gear set we can buy with currency that will give us a haste effect, since that's as far as creative business unit 3's creativity goes, just add haste to it. Even the lucky rabbits have uniques like mounts and special glamour weapons like the absolute lance. I only wish to see some game of chance back into the grind, instead of safely farming a currency, buying my item and never going back, only doing the fates for XP with nothing to look forward to, only farming it to just sell it on the market board, which is kinda lame. The optical hat requiring you to get 5 different Hakutaku eyes to craft into a cluster that would be traded for the hat after a notorious monster fight was an entire quest on its own, and we never saw anything like it again, which really saddens me. Needless to say, I liked a reason to do this Fates Pass experience, lockboxes, and those goddamn field notes. That was it in Bozja, that was it. Even attaching the relic weapon steps to them could work. Next up is no gated bosses recruitment. You know what I find fun? Besides my outspoken self-hatred? Roaming around the map, farming mobs, getting some experience, when out of the corner of my eye, I see a message in shout chat that a unique fight has spawned. I check the map and there it is, a notorious monster has spawned. So I leave behind my previous task as I make my way towards the battlefield. On my way there, I see others like me also making their way there. Parties forming up as we approach the awaited encounter. After we engage it, halfway through the fight, more people run in who are late to the instance, and all together we take the beast down. You know what I don't find fun? Sitting on my butt at the Aetheroid, pulling snot out of my nose, getting a notification that the boss has spawned, I click a button and get teleported in. Oh, what's that? You didn't click in time? Well, too bad, it's full. Best of luck next time. That's what you get for not sitting on your butt like me. Honestly, I know people say back in the day other people were not polite at all. They would just pull the boss and he would die before people could get there, but I much prefer the traveling over only looking at a menu, and if I didn't get to enlist myself on time, I am left outside of the barrier staring at the people who made it in. It's a very artificial and sanitized system for me. I like the more free, open feel to it, when they are not caged and we have to make our way to them. It's more organic that way. I know this will probably not happen since people see it as an inconvenience, and we all know what happens to anything the players find inconvenient. Now we are the two big ones. The ones I'm very aware won't happen, but I'm gonna speedball here a little bit. You're free to tell me how terrible my ideas are for what I wish to see in this game. Okay? Here we go. Eureka had elemental level. Bozja had Mettle. For Occult Crescent, I offer Paths of Combat.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now. This is cancer.
Every exploration zone has a unique method of leveling up. To make some progress to the zone, I found the elemental system from Eureka more engaging than the Mettle from Bozja, not to mention getting your elemental armor. Oh, so cool. For Occult Crescent, I like to do a couple of things. First, I want to borrow from World of Warcraft's Season of Discovery in a way, and second, I like to make more than one progression. What do I mean by this? Simply put, Paths of Combat in my head is giving each class role 2 skill trees. Granted, I wanted to give it each job 2 skill trees, but that would be too unrealistic given how the game is developed nowadays. So, sticking to roles it is. To give an example, let's talk about tanks. Tanks would have 2 paths that would need to be leveled up individually and choose between which one they want to play. One path focuses on being support by healing their party, even unlocking skills like being able to resurrect someone in exchange for dropping to 1 hit point. Maybe a skill that can tether to a party member and you heal them as your HP drops. I know it sounds risky, but the tank's healing could come from their own HP since they have so much and would make things interesting. The second path could make the tank a dot fiend and an AoE dropper. The tank could create a tether between them and the boss, which heals the tank while damaging the enemy. They unlock a skill that sets down a poisonous AoE that slows down enemies. I don't know, you want to experiment with classes in the real game, so try to go crazy with it in the instance content. Something past doing more damage would be appreciated. This gives players new and weird ways to play their class and something to level up individually. If you finish max leveling your tank paths, you can go and level up your magic DPS paths or your healer paths to unlock new weird ways to play. It'd be time consuming, and most people would probably just stick to one role, which, let's be honest, they already do 90% of the time in the normal game, but that gives many others something to grind for and even start at a lower level to level up with a friend and new players. Speaking of levels, something Eureka struggled with is having people max level unable to help their friends with mob grinding. If mob grinding is introduced in the instance, adding a party level sync might be a good idea. Not sure how long that would last with how much people cry over level synced abilities in this game, to be honest. But that's my wish for the new progression system. Multiple things to level up and unlock abilities for. I know it's a stretch given how much this game is afraid of having people spend time playing it, but damn it, that's my hope. Making it so people play your game past rush, cry about the inconvenience, and rush even more. Like dungeons nowadays. Just being a single corridor you speedrun through. Which leads me to the second big thing that I want. A mega dungeon.
Ooh, that's kind of small. Yikes.
I have this weird idea for a light party or maybe full party dungeon the players could navigate through. I'm not saying to get rid of the big raid at the end of every zone. No, god no, I love those raids. I'm saying to add an exploration dungeon to it. The dungeon design goes against everything Final Fantasy XIV is designed for nowadays, so I won't hold my breath. But I will throw the idea out there into the void. This mega dungeon is not designed to go down one single path, killing everything as fast as possible to the next boss and speedrun through. No, the dungeon is designed as a zone itself. Multiple rooms, multiple paths, passive mobs that will turn hostile if you activate something in the dungeon, stuff like that. There can even be secret rooms that open only with a key item from a fate from outside of the dungeon. Unlocking a boss or a special vendor with funny hats or a minion, unique consumables, or even a key item for a special drop in a fate outside. They interact with each other. The relic weapon could have a step that has you collect 4 key items from the bosses in this dungeon, so the party has to either stealth their way through or go full hog killing everything in their path. Not being careful can be detrimental since there can be patrolling mobs going through the corridors, like in the deep dungeons. In fact, that's the best way to see it. A deep dungeon around floors 70 to 80 difficulty or so but instead of randomized cubes attached by corridors, it's a properly designed temple. How cool would that be? Some mobs and bosses could be in different spots every run, which turns the dungeon into a search party. Another thing could be that if we have NPCs in the hub area of the instance, they could have quests that send you into the dungeon to recover items. Could even make a daily or a weekly out of those to get some extra XP and currency. Again, this place is not meant to be a hallway you clear as fast as possible. It's meant to be an exploration place where you go after specific objectives. Some boss doors could even have a block pushing puzzle to open it. Just give me something. I know I cannot demand for every dungeon in the game to be more than a hallway at this point, but I feel like if there's a place to make a weird dungeon, it would be here. But I know it's unrealistic since the game is focused on letting players rush through things, or they get mad they have to spend time playing the game. Which, that being said, I'd like to add one last thing to my wishlist. Stop caving in for people who want to play your game less. I am very much aware that they make changes after people complain that something takes too long, and I would like to kindly remind them that this is an MMO, and a task taking time should be the norm. Plenty of times have I seen people cry that they didn't get to finish content in one sitting, and it bothers me every single time. So, to the developers, I am begging you to not listen to people demanding the content progress to be shortened. I will always call back to the Endwalker relic weapons where I complained that they were too easy and I was left with nothing to do while people I know were happy that they didn't need to spend too much time on those relics, and yet they didn't finish a single one. Make content for people who play your game, not for people who say they play your game. With all of that being said, I know people will yell at me and call me a psycho for asking some of these things, and I am fully aware that I am indeed a psycho. But this is my list, my video, my opinion, as wrong as they are. I thank you all for taking your time to listen to my ramblings and for your support over on my Patreon and social media. Thank you for your time, take care, stay safe, and I will be talking to you next time. Bye bye everybody. See you in the Occult Crescent.